Let's deliver fast broadband for all. Only then we can ensure everyone can connect to our digital single market and benefit from all those great new services. And partly that is about encouraging private investment through an environment that's certain, that's consistent, and that is competitive. Let's use ICT to boost the quality and efficiency of public services, especially across borders. Because, ladies and gentlemen, e-government can make life easier for our citizens while also saving public money. We can build a digital single market that puts Europe in a better place to compete and in a better place to respond to all the challenges we face today.
We are celebrating tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, starting today, the second Digital Assembly, and among the many aspects which we are going to debate related to the digital agenda, let me underline one which I think is crucial for the possibilities of the European Union to fully seize all the opportunities of the digital society, which is all aspects related to spectrum and related to the broadband infrastructure, mostly in the area of fast and ultra-fast broadband.
The internet has been changing our lives for more than 18 years now. Today there are three issues which I would like to see properly addressed. The first is that we should establish, because of the empowerment of individuals through the internet, the principle of universal access, so that all Europeans and indeed across the globe people can have access to broadband and mobile at a reasonable rate. Secondly, it is in the European Union we should be addressing the question of priorities on funding so that we can have the funds in the structural funds, in the regional fund, which reflect the principle of digital priorities. And last is to recognize that the world is changing around us very quickly. Average speeds are no longer 25, but they're up to 100 Mbps. Perhaps that's the target we should be aiming for 2020 and galvanize ourselves to be a real competitive player on the digital agenda.
Well, the highest target for me is to get more consumers involved in the whole of the digital market, the digital agenda. We want lots of capacity, but we want consumers to use it. So my task, and I'm chairman of the Internal Market and Consumer Protection Committee, is to put in place the framework which is going to develop trust and confidence in consumers, deal with their problems, and I think that that is really the most important contribution, because consumers will then drive investment, drive new applications forward. And that's something that we're working on in parallel with everything that's going on the digital agenda.
One of the key priorities I think we should have as European policymakers and also companies is to ensure that we don't go too much inward focused, that we don't stay stuck in the crisis, but that we realize that the EU is a global player, that we consider our competitiveness, but that we also look at issues that concern societies that are not as free and as open and as prosperous as ours. So one of the key priorities of the digital agenda that I recognize is the no disconnect strategy, which seeks to ensure that people cannot be cut off or censored online. And this is both a human rights issue and a business issue, because the more free speech, the more speech at all, the more opportunity for businesses from Europe to roll into these developing economies and to reach people across the globe. So I would recommend looking outside of the box, not being too inward focused, and considering the EU as a global player and considering people that live outside of Europe as well.
How do we actually overcome what we would consider as sort of digital illiteracy also among citizens? How do we extinguish the digital gap or divide between our societies? Because only around half of Europe's population is online and working on e-business. We have 250 million people who are not. And we have to keep in mind that society also will be depending on those and how we integrate all these people or not. As a European Parliament, as an institution, we have to support that. Together with James, I'll work on the Budget Committee to make sure that more investments are put into research and development, because as Europeans, we don't have oil, we don't have gas. Our source is what we have in our head.